All right, we're back. I've already sent off the reactor just because I didn't want to record that dialogue again. Let's start cutting this ship apart. And today I'm going to try and stay... I'm not going to say on topic, but I'm going to not try and talk about current events more. I don't know. Current events are weird. I like talking about them because I literally do not get the chance to outside of my streams, kind of. I mean, I get to talk to, like, Shell. Did they reset the game volume? It might have, actually. No, it didn't, but it's still kind of loud. I'll turn it down. It might just be this song. There we go. Let's see. I've forgotten how to slow down. Right, because I moved it. There we go. But I don't get to talk about current events too much with like anybody else. My social life is slim. Honestly, you guys get to see much of my social life if you watch my videos or my Twitch streams. Suffice to say, most of the things I watch are Wholesome vs. Live, or watch. Most of the friend things that I do is like Wholesome vs. Live, and like occasionally chatting with people on Discord, and that's about it. And I rarely actually talk to other people, other creators about current events. I don't almost want to say so much of it has to do with the fact that we're maybe secretly afraid that like somebody's gonna have a really hot take that you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I can like support being you know, connected to you in any way, shape, or form. There's one or two creators that were like that, where I was just like, oh man, you seem cool, and then they started talking about like other stuff, and I'm like, oh. So, like, I remember a guy back in my prop hunt days that was, like, really big on vaping. And, like, got more and more, like, aggressive about vaping and was apparently, like, a vape ambassador and some other things. And, like, maybe vaping is okay. I don't know. I have no interest in it. I equate it pretty much entirely to smoking, and I'm pretty sure it's just as bad. But, like, this guy would not stop talking about it, and after a certain point I was like, I can't record with you anymore because you went from being a really interesting guy to being the vape guy. And so nowadays I just try and avoid topics like that in general. Just because it gets weird. It gets real weird. I don't know. So this is a game where you repair ships. No, it's a game where you rip ships apart and sell them for sell the parts, I guess. It's actually really fun. You would think ripping things to shreds, well, no. I'm pretty sure this is like every small child's dream, is just ripping apart cool looking things and just staring at the guts. I used to do that with desktops. My dad was like, back in the early 90s, desktops weren't exactly the most common thing. You know, a number of people were starting to get them, but it wasn't like they were a whole household until like the late 90s, early 2000s. And even then it was usually not much of anything. You know what? Let's just let a tether do it. There we go. Let's see. But so my dad was a big tech guy already because he was like one of the first people in the US to get a computer science degree. And so computers were just kind of part of my family's life. And also my dad's workplace. And so he would often bring computers back to like show my brother and I how to dissect them. And, you know, rip them apart. And usually, generally, it would just be removing the motherboard and the case and kind of splitting it apart. Because a number of things were still reusable, but a number weren't. So, you know, you could maybe keep the case, but you couldn't keep the, the motherboard because the motherboard was old, or I don't know. But I remember very fondly as a 4-year-old taking a computer apart piece by piece and, like, pulling off the little doodads from the motherboard with, like, a screwdriver. It was... At that point, it was wasteful, and we were just destroying things wantonly. But it was cool all the same. And so this is like a gamified version of that. And so I've always found myself drawn to this specific design. I feel like I've heard this story before. I mean, I've been doing this long enough that if you've been listening to me for, you know, the past 7.5 years, you've probably heard almost every story that I've ever told twice. I try not to repeat the stories too often, but if it's relevant, I will absolutely talk about it. Your dad does medicine and computers? Yeah, so the field is specifically called bioinformatics. Specifically gene sequencing. I mean, gene sequencing is kind of his claim to fame. And, like, realistically, at some point, I'm going to be talking about this, and somebody's going to be able to identify him. He's not, like, super famous, but, like, if you're in that field, you probably know of my dad's work. He probably could have been a lot more famous, but he's kind of a quiet dude and wants, like, nothing to do with like, big accolades. He's just more interested in the science. My dad is a giant nerd. And, like, really loves what he does. But I guess back in, what? The 70s, 80s, when he was going to school, he started doing ticker tape programming for Target. And then took that into college with him. And more or less got, like, a dual degree in biology and computer science. And worked for a bunch of different labs all over the place in the country. But so, the big one he was a part of that I always point to is, like, the thing that he did, with a lot of other people, is the Human Genome Project. Like, he was one of the people on that. I have no idea where he ranked as far as things go. But, like, I once met a student who specifically wanted to get into the same field that my dad was in, and the guy was just like, wait, you're this guy's son? And I'm like, I didn't realize this mattered. It was cool. Hasn't happened since, but it was cool all the same. Okay, wish you luck on the Clips channel. No channel that did one and has gotten double the totals of views his main channel had in 6 months. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a separate channel yet. I'll have to think about that one. Currently, I'm just going to be putting up, so context for people watching this on YouTube, and people that have just rolled in that weren't paying attention. I'm running a bounty on clips. You know, if anything interesting happens when I'm playing, I want people to clip it so that I can actually, save it for later. Because one of the biggest travesties, I would say, about my channel, is that so many of the moments get kind of lost. Just because there's so much. You know, how are you gonna sort through 7 hours of footage a day just to find the best bits? Some people might watch that much, but a lot of people do not have that luxury. And, you know, finding it after the fact is equally hard. You know, how are you gonna find the best moment from my Chroma Squad series, unless you actually went back through and found all of the best moments, and even then, like, most people are never going to watch that series, that watch my videos. Even though they should, I like that game. Though I'm pretty sure I sounded like butts, so I might actually want to consider re-recording it at some point. Even just watching some of my, my top clips from the past 3 years, it's like, holy shit, my voice, and my microphone, and my, like, style of commentary has changed so dramatically. I'm definitely a little bit more subdued. I think chalk a lot of that up to just current events and some other issues.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
But, yeah, like, I sound like a completely different person. So you're counting older content? So, for the bounty specifically, there's technically two, and the other one I'm not really going to announce too much, until I've got, like, a better system for it. But at least for people on Twitch, starting today, any clips that you take, from... let's just go with new streams, please. Well, I mean, if you want to go back to the old ones, I can, I guess, count them. But clips that are taken of my content after today, if you think they're good and you want to submit them, there's a Twitch Henchbits redemption thing that is, I think it's Clip Bounty or something to that extent. And so you submit it through that, or you submit it through Discord. And at the end of the month, I will tabulate all of the clips that were sent to me and find the people that sent me the most great clips, and then give them a free game, a drawing, any number of things, just as a, like, way of giving giving back to people because, yeah, I wanna have more of these highlights actually kept, not only for archival's sake, but so they're not lost to time, and also because I like to mess around with the clips and short system because it seems fun.
Credits deposited.
Okay, there we go.
Caution, tether supplies are low.
So, guessing we're halfway through episode 3 right now? I think this is episode... It's not episode 3, it's like episode 6? I played about 3 hours yesterday, it just depends a little bit on... how my editing goes, but I haven't exactly looked.
Salvage gained.
That said, I would not consider there to be a whole lot of moments in this game that you could even be spoiled on, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, and this time, let's remember to activate that. Oh, that does work. Even if the power's off. That's kind of nice. Not that it really matters here, but still. So did you turn the timer off somehow? Yes, it actually turns off automatically in OpenShift. So there are a couple of different modes now. There's... Okay. So there's a couple of different modes to Hardspace Shipbreaker now. There's Standard, which is the old one, limited oxygen, limited time. There's OpenShift, which is unlimited time and potentially unlimited oxygen. Let's see. Actually, this whole thing goes into the processor, so I might be able to get down here. Let's see. There we go. But then there's also the, like, limited lives and then hardcore, where if you die, you're dead, and you have to start over from the beginning. And so, me being kind of lazy, figured I just, there we go. Me being somewhat lazy, figured I'd give, OpenShift a try. Not necessarily because, like, I can't do the time-limited thing, but I find having no time limit is honestly a little bit more comfortable for me from a content perspective, and I think it goes faster. Mainly just because I don't have to worry about going back to get oxygen constantly, and also, you know, the end of the day shift summary. That sort of thing took a little bit of time to actually go through.
Processing valuable object. Credits awarded.
There we go. And so by cutting that bit out, I should have a lot more time to actually, you know, cut through ships instead. Because honestly, pure gameplay is way more important to me than fiddling around in UI and so on and so forth.
Salvage secured.
And so, like, I don't know. I don't think I was ever particularly bothered by the time limit, but it feels better not having one. That said, I would not mind potentially doing, like, a Hardspace Shipbreaker contest at some point. I don't know. I'm really big on the idea of, like, community events. And it's something that I specifically want to do this year. So obviously I've got the clip contest, clip bounty that I'm just going to be running. But I was thinking it'd actually be really cool to get a bunch of streamers together and do, like, a Hardspace Shipbreaker race where we all go on, like, free play mode, have one ship, maybe not one life, but you know, try and extract the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time. It would be fun as a way for everybody to have the exact same ship for a disassembly race. I mean, you could at least get similar classifications. But yeah, just having this big community event thing, where everybody's just racing to rip a ship apart. Because there's no multiplayer for this game yet, to my knowledge. Well, no, there's no multiplayer yet, and to my knowledge, there probably never will be. And obviously, if they add multiplayer, I will be the happiest camper. Because I want to play this with my friends. But, worst comes to worst, hop on a call with some people and hang out. Oops.
Salvage destroyed. Please avoid damaging valuables.
Didn't realize they would just rip straight through. Well, that sucks. It's okay. So, do you make less money this way? I don't think so. I think I actually make just about the same amount of funding. Oh, I guess that never disconnected. Oh well.
Processing valuable objects. Credits awarded.
It's not that big of a deal.
Raw material
A mistake
processed.
like that.
Credits deposited.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Right. I think I earn about the same amount, if not more so, from this. Which, I don't know, works well enough for me. I don't see anything else, so I think it's just time to send this on. I got one more tether. Let's just expedite this.
Your last tether. Head on over to the kiosk if you need more.
Aha! I've seen some of the top racers. Freaking crazy. I want to look into that. Oh. There was a section that I missed. I would love to see what actual speedrunners do, but I'd much prefer to play with amateurs to some degree. I have this problem in life when it comes down to, there we go. When it comes down to playing competitive games, I generally prefer to play against people in a more even playing field. And so when I'm playing with somebody that has specifically played extensively, knows exactly what to do, that sort of thing always hurts just a little bit, because then it's just like, how do you balance around an expert unless everybody is an expert? And so it would be really cool to have, you know, somebody like that as maybe an expert judge that, like, watches and says, like, blah, blah, blah. You know, you made this mistake here, points removed, effectively using the expert to judge, but not actually...
Hey again, Rook. Just wanted to say, I'm impressed with how quick you're picking things up. Not sure what kind of work you've done before, but you're a natural cutter. You probably noticed Lynx doesn't exactly take great care of us. I don't blame them. They don't really have a reason to. Up until about 100 years ago, workers like us would make groups called unions and fight for better wages and safer work and decent hours, that kind of thing. Basically balance things so people don't just get exploited to hell. Lynx was actually key in getting rid of all that. But there's a group of shipbreakers now trying to bring back the idea of a union. Change things for the better. Did you know that Lynx keeps your DNA even if you leave? Or that those hull panels you get 10 credits for are resold for 1,000 apiece? That's the kind of thing they want to change. Anyway, it's all hush-hush, of course, and Lynx sums it out right quick. But I see that you're a good person and a hard worker, and they're gonna use you up and you'll get naught for it. So I hope you don't mind, but I signed you up for the union newsletter. Comes every couple of days. Read them, don't read them, trash them, whatever. Just please don't report me. Just want you to have the info. I was glad someone gave it to me when I was new.
So, hey Rook. Hey again, Rook. Just want to say I'm impressed how quickly you're picking things up. Not sure what kind of work you've done before, but you're a natural cutter. Oh, wait, no. Is this the same thing? Yeah, so it's the same thing. She just read this. I'm glad that was voice acted out. Okay, so is there... Well... Nah, I can probably go with that. Repairing anything for a bit. I'm curious about the demo charges, but we don't get those to level 11. Oh, that's a goal for today. Demo some stuff. Okay. Anyway, view ship catalog. Hazard level 4. Which one of the... Oh, the Salty Shaw. Javelin. This sounds fun. Worth a lot. Seems very anti-corp to be doing on Lynx hardware. Yeah, you'd think they'd disappear you for that sort of thing. Is she a corporate spy trying to squeeze your disposition? Well, I don't speak, so that's going to be real difficult.
Morning there, Cutter.
Morning, Rook. Oh, forgot to give you a pretty hot tip. You know all those supplies you can buy at the kiosk? You know, O2, patch kits, fuel, that kind of thing? You can actually scrounge a lot of that stuff for free from the ships.
Come on, Lou. You know that's against regs.
It's not a big deal.
It's also not safe. Nor sanitary.
Come on, what?
You know how long that stuff's been floating around in all that grime and dust?
There's space-grade sealed weaver.
Probably well past their expiry date.
Okay, well, it's not like corporate around here cares too much about our well-being, does it?
Look, Lou, I need you to try to follow the rules now. You hear?
Yeah, sure thing, boss. Catch you later, Rook. Lou out.
Cutter, I encourage you not to huff any old oxygen can you find. But if you do, please just monitor your vitals after, and for God's sakes, don't eat anything you find. All right, have a productive shift. Holler if you need me. Weaver out.
Wander is a corporate shill. Hardly. That said, really depends on kind of the environment you're in.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Luckily, I'm in a position where I can share my opinions of my quote-unquote employers fairly freely without having to worry too much about them getting mad at me. Namely, I can talk about how Amazon is butts and generally not have to worry about them cracking down. Maybe they will. I don't know. I think if Amazon started cracking down on people, you know, streamers that are like, hey, there's some issues with Amazon.
Salvage deposit accepted.
If they sat down and said, like, no more of that, boy, that would be a very quick trip to pissing people off. I'm curious if YouTube's ever thought about that. It would not be a smart thing to do, to sit down and say, like, hey, we're just gonna start suppressing search results for, like, the Kappa. I don't know if you guys remember the Kappa controversy at the start of 2020 that everybody was panicking about, but suffice to say, there were tons and tons of people being like, $10,000 fees, and just like
Credits deposited.
stuff like that. And oh, this one's just loose. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, there were tons of people that were, I would say, somewhat rightfully mad at YouTube for, like, not nipping this problem in the bud before it became a problem. But tons of people that were actively talking about, like, yo, YouTube, this sucks. And I don't think YouTube suppressed that kind of thing, but it would be fascinating to find out if they ever even considered it. Also, anyway, yeah, I have no idea if Twitch or YouTube actually try and... if they actively try and... I'm not going to say, like, suppress search results for people talking negatively about them. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, but I assume that they do it very quietly, because trying to silence that sort of thing on either platform would probably look real bad. Not to say that they don't do a lot of stuff that looks actually kind of crappy. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is still just such a giant mess. I need a better better grappling gun to really pull this one off. I know DeFranco has revealed that YouTube does suppress certain news things. I just don't know if they suppress people talking bad about them. Because I feel like that would be, like, the dumbest way to make people upset with, like, almost no productivity. It'd probably help if the grapple wasn't damaged. I'm curious if that actually impacts its effectiveness. Because I don't think it did in the previous version. Okay, so I'm actually going to have to look at the scanner on this one. Because we've got this giant superstructure framework around the ship, and I'm not entirely sure. Is it even connected? It's not. Okay. So how is it connected? Can I cut it? No. Cut level 3. Oh, this is gonna take some doing. Wait, actually, we might not actually be able to rip this thing apart particularly well. See, I think they can do it through their strange and erratic demonetization copyright robots. Maybe? The thing is, like, yeah. Like, everybody always likes to act that YouTube's super shady with those things, but in reality, it's actually pretty dang apparent when you're getting hit by, like, a copyright violation or being demonetized. Like, for reference, I have not been demonetized, I think, in over a year. Apart from maybe, like, one video. Let's see. Okay, these are loose now. Boy, Hootie. Wanderer's brand safe. I'm pretty brand safe, yeah. Alright, I'm just gonna send this down and we'll just see what happens. I think it's... Oh, it's latched on. There we go. Okay, so I just have to pull it free. Looks like we're gonna have to buy a lot of tethers here today, but that's okay. Wander didn't used to be brand safe. I mean, honestly, the amount of swears that I would use weren't great, but it definitely wasn't, like, that brand unsafe. Yeah, the people I recorded with were tremendously worse. But, you know, not anymore. Wholesomeverse Live, with the exception of, like, one or two guys and one or two moments, I think everybody's pretty much just, like...
Salvage secured. Account
pretty
credit
clean with
applied.
their language and so on and so forth. And with their jokes. Like, I sometimes have to catch myself a little bit, and I'm like, oh no, I'm the vulgar one now. And it's weird. Okay. This is cool, though. I can't wait to rip this thing apart with a slightly better cutting tool and grav gun.
Caution. Tether supplies running low.
I have no idea how I'm actually going to disconnect the central canisters. Maybe there's a... yeah, I have no idea. I think I'm just gonna have to rip through these things. Recently went through all of your Binding of Isaac stuff. About 10% of the words were swears. Jeez. Yeah. You guys can't hear Shell, but she's like, and that's why you stopped. And it is why I stopped.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
This is easy to fall into that language.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
And I'm glad I've stopped, because I feel like my commentary has improved drastically from it. Though I do find I go silent maybe a little bit more, especially in the middle of events. Oh, there's probably still a giant reactor in this mess, isn't there? Alright. I love this ship, though. I love ripping apart new ship types that are completely unique. that don't resemble any of the other ones that I've run into. Because it's always an adventure just trying to figure out, like, okay, how does this thing work? I did like your Binding of Isaac stuff. Really fun. Yeah, I feel kind of bad that I didn't get it as into the,
Salvage
what is it?
secured. Account credit applied.
Not Afterbirth. Repentance. There we go. I thought Repentance was neat, but I just, like, bounced off of it unbelievably hard compared to
Salvage
whereas
secured.
I was expecting I'd be with Binding of Isaac. I thought it would be, like, just going back and continuing as normal, but I was just like, yeah, this is fun. And then just, like, did not want to play anymore. Okay, airlock's on the top. Looks like the door's already open. At some point, they're going to start locking the doors. Oh, right. Decompression is a higher level hazard, which is why we haven't run into it yet. Alright. Let's take a look at this thing's interior. And just start cutting points. Let's see. I don't know what I'm doing. But it does seem like there's a lot of cut points here. And the sooner I can detach just a piece or 3 off of this thing, will make my life a lot easier. Let's take a look at this. So there's a cut point on the top there. And some points. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to somehow get into the skeleton of this thing. Okay, here we go. Let's see, what else we got? Presumably tons. Tons of things that I can just to shreds, you say. Because as soon as I can take off one of these side panels...
Your gear's getting low. It's gonna start fighting you if you don't head on back to the hab and make some repairs.
Oh yeah, the higher damage makes it automatically have a higher starting point heat-wise. Okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. Love the look in the gameplay of this game, but I'm holding off on getting it until it's fully released. I know if I play it now, I'll get sick of it and won't want to play the full version. Yeah, I would say this is one of the few early access games where I can play more of it, but I fully agree with you. That so many early access games lately have just been exhausting. Where it's like, oh man, I really like this game. I can't wait to play more of it. And like when it's done, and then it finally gets to that point, and I'm just like, boy, I've been here and done this before, and now I just never want to do this again. And it just kind of sucks. Hey, thank you, Cryos, for the raid. Welcome on in, everybody. Were you guys also playing this? I think I saw a little bit from the stream title that he might have been playing this, but I was too busy trying to get my shorts together to actually pay any attention to that sort of thing. Let's see. Almost finished your first ship. Perfect. Ooh. That's tough to do. Okay. This is still held together somehow. I'm just trying to find the disconnect point where this thing starts falling apart on itself. But I have no idea what I need to do for that. So I'm just hitting every cut point that I can find. Because almost always it's worth it. Oh. Okay, I see space. So whatever that was, that did the trick. Let's not do this. I get it? Yeah. So what was this connected to? Oh, it's this thing. That's actually really important. It's kind of big, though. I'm not sure if I want to spend any tethers on this. But yeah, if I can remove that... Wow, yeah, I've actually ripped a fair bit off. This is huge.
Valuable object processed.
Because I wasn't really sure where I was in this process, and I wasn't really sure how to remove these... the horn-looking things. And now we have. So I gotta just do it on the other side. And then that should let me get all of this structure off. Comfortably. Semi-comfortably. Okay. So by doing the some more math, got the inflation right. Let's see. The initial debt of 1.2 billion would be roughly 600k. Yeah, I was off by 150. That's close enough. So yeah, it's weird for a game that throws numbers at you like like it should be terrifying. The 1.2 billion debt is not impossible to pay off. Though it really does depend on this guy's wages, but like he makes a lot on a given day. Like, I was really expecting with that 1.2 billion debt, like you look at that and you're like, holy shit, that's bad. And then you do the math and you're like, I mean, like 600k is bad. That's real bad. That's the kind of debt that a person might have to spend their whole life paying off anyway. But that's not, like, impossible.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
It just sucks. Okay. So is this thing loose? I think so, yeah. Holy shit. I am... not in the best spot with some of this. As long as the salvage keeps coming in, that ever stops for a week or more, you rack up bills quickly just for living. Yeah, that's the big issue. But at least within the context of this game, there's no end to the amount of work, as long as you don't die. I don't remember who told me that you could chain grav gun shots like that. But somebody told me a while ago specifically how to do that, and boy, it really did kind of change how I like move pieces around in this game. Oh shit. Okay, no more cutting tool. Okay, we got anything else? Dude, we did some damage there. Okay. So I think I can pull off this entire structure. I just have to pull it free, otherwise it's gonna bonk. The other immediate issue is, I'm not actually sure about the size on this. That might be too big, but I literally cannot cut it apart. So I'm just going to try and throw it into the processor and hope that it just gets absorbed in. Wonder yeeted himself into space yet. Not really, no. I've actually been pretty careful. Okay, that will fit. I wasn't quite sure on the scale that I was looking at.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Still haven't found the reactor on this either.
Salvage secured.
Okay.
Count credit applied. Salvage gained. Credit awarded.
So, I think I can spend 1 tether pulling this off. There we go. Look at that. It's so satisfying. This whole thing is. Because, like, what's a good example? I don't know. This feels like taking apart maybe what it feels like to take apart shellfish.
You're out of tethers. Get yourself over to the kiosk to buy some more.
But yeah, just figuring out what parts you can specifically cut and where. Oh, I know what it is. It's like the unbuilding of a Gundam kit. You know those like in cartoons where you have the sword master and they swing their sword a bunch and whatever they're cutting,
Thank you for your purchase.
Tethers restored.
I can't get more.
Thank you for your purchase.
What's this? Oh, that's for my ship.
Have a nice day.
Let's see. But they swing their sword a bunch and then everything just slides apart. Like, that's what this feels like. Where, admittedly, I'm not nearly as fast as that, but the just smoothly watching everything fall to pieces. This game could have been a lot worse with the whole, like, cutting business. I just want to make sure there isn't anything, like any secret goodies. Oh, there was a cut point there. That probably would have separated these 2 panels out. Let's do it anyway, just for the sake of science. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering about that. Whoop. Okay, so 5,000 is a little too heavy for me. But yeah, so I could have actually separated these 2 pieces and had an easier time of it. Good to know. When does repairing stuff get critical? I mean, I'm assuming when it breaks, it's you're kind of in trouble. Okay.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
Okay, so I can remove part of the cabin. Let's probably just do it piecemeal again. Okay, there. Now it's not hooked up at all. I always liked peeling tree bark as a kid. There'd be some woods behind the house I could spend hours peeling bark off of fallen branches. Yeah. I never did that as much. Most of the trees didn't have... Like, most of the trees where I grew up didn't have much for bark. What we do instead was grab pocket knives and whittle. Which is always kind of fun.